This older-looking guy shows up and says, do you know where Mrs. Cultrera lives? And he says, yeah, she's my mother.
My mother telling me, he says, see that man with the white hair in front there? He just come to see you? He says, that's your father. I said, what the hell is that?
So then he had a relationship with his dad for a few years until his dad decided to go back to Sicily. And then he never saw him again.
I always been saying, what if my children ever understand me?
When I think of growing up, Dad was a great father. He was working all the time. He worked in a leather factory. It wasn't like, he went to the office every day and came home and knocked down a martini or something and played with the kids. He was tired when he came home. Mom had 7 brothers and sisters. Our aunts Jenny and Kay, they were there in the house. They were unmarried and they had all this attention that they gave us. So it was very easy for Dad to kind of recede into the background there.
What the heck? I says, oh, they're taking care of my son, my kids. Why should I worry? Worry about it now.
I think Birmingham stepped in there at a time in my life where I was probably looking for some strong father figure, and he fit the bill. Father, literally, he was the father figure, because he was father. He replaced our fathers. It was very good, very adept at keeping people off the trail. I don't know, did you ever suspect anything?
No, never. I remember there's one story I remember you telling me about, the Hawthorne story. My brother Paul was born here in Salem on the 5th of July. Nathaniel Hawthorne was born here on the 4th, about 150 years earlier. 1973, I'm 14, and Paul gives me this book by Hawthorne. Says I should read his story, Young Goodman Brown. In it, Goodman Brown leaves his house at sunset and wanders into a gloomy forest. In this place where evil lurks, Goodman Brown is stunned to see a gathering of the most pious citizens from his congregation. This scary ceremony begins. The devil is in charge, but he's assisted by the holiest of Salem people, the local deacon and the minister. The next morning, when Goodman Brown crosses his doorstep, his vision of the world is forever changed. As Hawthorne writes, a stern, a sad, a distrustful, if not a desperate man did he become. I was thinking about that the other night, like,
yeah.
Is there something there? Like somebody was trying to say something.
Yeah, there were a couple of Hawthorne stories like that. Those stories always appeal to me. Life seems very normal, but there is these secrets. I wrote a lot of poetry, and it was always very obscure. If you're trying to write about what's happening in your feelings, and there's this huge area of feelings that you're not going to talk about, that area just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Got to the point where I almost couldn't write anything anymore.
1976. I've got this Super 8 camera I bought. Cousin Matt comes over in one costume after another, and the films get longer and crazier. Aunt Grace is the family saint, but always up for a challenge. She teaches Sunday school, has the keys to the church, and is willing to let us in, as long as she has her say.
Of course, confession is the sacrament of penance or reconciliation, which means forgiveness and love. Jesus loves us very, very much, more than we can understand, and that is no baloney.
In my film school thesis, Cousin Matt plays a priest.
Good morning, Father. How are you?
Based on Father Lorano, the new pastor at St. Mary's Italian, that everyone is complaining about.
It's my parish, isn't it? I mean, what do they want from me?
I finally catch Lorano for real in 1981.
I'm a worker. I'm a serviceman. When somebody needs to have life given to them, I give them life. The man of God should not be accepted by a community. He should be revered, he should be feared, he should be listened to, you know. No father is ever accepted by the children. I'm a man set apart. I'm somebody different, you know. And when you're different, you got to watch out for them.
That's away. You don't have. You know what this is?
Those are your paintings?
All paintings.
Gloucester.
Gloucester. Pretty good, huh?
I think I moved to Gloucester in 1976 or late 75. Gloucester's a really great town, and I felt very much at home there. First time I saw Hartley, she was at the Blackburn Tavern. And I remember this waitress walking through this crowd. Some guy got in her way, and she just spontaneously cussed him out in perfect Italian. And I thought, wow, that's pretty impressive. I wonder who this woman is.
Ho qualcosa per te. Ho trovato questa Madonna lì.
The St. Peter's Festival was going on in Gloucester. It's the blessing of the fishing fleet. It's basically about 4 days of wild partying all through the town. A lot of people got together and started partying and having a good old time, and Hartley and I just sort of hit it off there and just sort of went off and became a couple. We moved in together in the fall of '79. We decided to got married in '81. It must have been about 1989 when I was back at the house.
I don't know what else to tell you.
I was standing over by the radiator in the kitchen. And I remember Ma saying, oh, you know, your friend Father Birmingham died.
I told him that. I didn't think anything of it. I said, you know, Father Birmingham died.
I outwardly didn't make a big deal of it, but inwardly it was kind of like, thank God he's dead.
I didn't think anything of it. How did I know what was going on?
It was a sense of relief that he was dead and that my secret was going to be my secret. So. There's the sexual abuse itself. It does whatever it does to you. But the other damage, as important, is that it tosses you into this life of secrecy. Because you think there's something the matter with you. You think you've done something really bad. So you become very adept at drawing a huge circle around that part of your life. And then that kind of leaks out to other parts of your life. You've been creating these elaborate. There's always been this part of me that's very open and wants to be very trusting, and at the same time I'm pulling back from everything because it's like, oh, wait a minute, what's behind the secret door, you know? I started realizing I wasn't that happy with my life situation. I started talking to Hartley about it, but I wasn't really prepared to figure out what was going on. She was shocked when I sort of was saying that there were all these problems. And my way of dealing with the problem was to say, okay, there's a problem, so I'm leaving. We split up in 1990. A lot of people were totally shocked. People thought we were just like this totally happy couple. I thought we were too, but I never really doubted it that much until probably about 3 or 4 months before we split up. There were parts of me that sort of shut down as a 14-year-old and didn't have a chance to, you know, mature. When things got difficult in our marriage, I wasn't confronting a lot of the truth about what was going on. I'd get defensive, I would get scared, I would think that, of course, I can't maintain this marriage because there's something the matter with me. And I wasn't going to let her really question me to find out what was really going on. That's how I think this whole experience helped contribute to the demise of my marriage. But, you know, it's a lot more complicated than that. We split up in May. So I split from my wife, quit my job, and then decided I should just leave the state. So I left in the fall. I was offered a temporary consulting job out in Southern California, and that sounded like a good place to go. I was was horribly miserable at the time that I was doing this. But there was this sense of, okay, I'm going to get in my car and drive across the country in my Fiat.